So today I decided to clean out some stuff that I had lying around, and I got a bunch of phones, which something like this is kind of ironic for someone my age. I'm only 25. Most people of my generation don't even use these things anymore. But the reason why I even have home phone to begin with is because I live in an area where cell phone service is kind of a joke. And as to why I have so many corded phones is because where I live, analog phone service is still available. And when I first bought my house, that's what I got. Plus, on top of that, corded phones are really cheap off of eBay, so that's where I got most of these. Some of them came from Walmart. However, once I got cable internet ran in this house, I decided to switch over to voice over IP because I was getting sick and tired of paying the phone company $50 a month for basic phone service, and it didn't include a whole lot. I had to pay extra if I wanted to make a long distance call outside the county, and on top of that too, I did not have caller ID, no call waiting, nothing like that. I didn't even have touch tone dialing.
To test the dial-up connection, I'll be using this dial-up for less service, which has several local access numbers still in service. And to make those calls, I'll be using Hyperterminal and the Hayes command set. Now, the strange thing about this phone line is that it does not support touch tone dialing, because at least for analog landlines in our area, Verizon still makes you pay more to get touch tone dialing. Of course, once you dial a number, you can turn on touch tone and use it to make your way through menu systems and so forth, but for this line, since I never paid for touch tone, I have to use pulse dialing.
And it's kind of ironic that these all have caller ID screens on them, even though I didn't have caller ID initially. So why am I getting rid of these? It's primarily because the ATA can't support this many telephones. So because of that, I bought a multi-pack, like a 5-pack of cordless telephones and a 2-pack of cordless telephones, and it tricks the ATA into thinking it only has 2 telephones hooked up to it. When I tried to hook up all these phones to it, the ATA couldn't handle it, and it crashed several times. So that's honestly why I'm getting rid of these. They're going to go to Goodwill or some thrift store somewhere or whatever. They work fine. I just can't use them anymore. And these are not all the phones that I had throughout the house. I also had a couple of rotary dial phones, which I'm not getting rid of those yet because I'd like to see if I could try to make them work on some sort of system. Supposedly they make a cell to jack adapter so you can make them work through a cell phone that way. But the other thing I was told too is they also make a pulse to tone converter so it can convert the pulse dialing, which is what rotary phones use, to touch tones, which is the only type of dialing, the only dialing technology that the ATA will register. So I might try that in the future, but for now, they're just sitting in a box, and I'm not going to dig them up and show them for you because they're kind of buried. And these 2 big business phones that I actually had hooked up, I couldn't dial out on because I did not have touch tone dialing when I had the analog service, because where I live, they make you pay extra for that. And I refused to pay the phone company 25 cents extra a month just for touch tone dialing. I thought that was stupid. And even though these 2 could not work with pulse dialing, these actually could. There's no switch on here to just switch it from pulse to tone, but you could actually go in the settings of this thing and tell it what kind of dialing technology you wanted to use. The thing that was kind of bad about it, though, is that if I wanted to call a business and I had to talk to a menu system, like where you say, for this service, press 5, it wouldn't register the pulses. So I actually had a couple of phones in here, and unfortunately I don't have any of those phones anymore. I actually got rid of them as soon as I got the voice over IP because I didn't have these little caller ID screens on them. I had a couple of those phones that actually had a switch on it so you could switch back and forth. So when I call a business like that, I could just dial out with my pulse dialing technology, and as soon as I got their menu system, I just switched over to touch tone and I could navigate through their systems and so forth and have no issues. And you may notice that these things are still alive. That's because these things use batteries, and they still have the batteries in them. And as you can also tell, I spent no expense on batteries because these came from Dollar Tree. As for what this little device is, this is actually a telephone ringer. I bought it at a thrift store for like $1.50 or something like that. And the only reason why I ended up getting it was I had a telephone where the ringer in it did not work. And I was about to replace the telephone, but because I found this for so cheap, this became the new telephone ringer for that bad telephone. So the phone worked, it just didn't have a ringer in it that worked. So this was the compromise. Although this particular one is extremely loud, if you notice it says super phone ringer, this is primarily meant for people with impaired hearing. So that's what this is really meant for. And I had it turned way the heck down just so it wouldn't blow me out of the room. It was stupid loud. So now you guys know about my telephone situation, which is completely stupid. But I guess I'm going to get rid of these old things now. I don't need them anymore. And before I get rid of these, there is one telephone I am not going to miss, and that's this one. This one was terrible. It was the cheapest thing that Walmart had for a cordless phone, and these phones were even cheaper than this one. These are far superior than this thing. This thing is awful. It just sounds bad, and for some reason, when you talk on it for long periods of times, it gives you massive headaches. So, plus on top of that, the build quality is pretty bad. This cover doesn't even line up with the phone very well. And I could have paid $2 extra, got a much better phone that would also support pulse dialing because I needed a phone that could support pulse dialing, and it had a speakerphone. This one does not have a speakerphone. So if I would have known that, I would have never bought this. And the only reason why I know that that phone is so much better is because I actually bought it. It's right here. And granted, I bought a 2-pack of it, so because of that, it costs more than $2 extra, but I could have bought the 1-pack of it and it would have been far superior because I could talk on this one for hours. It sounds pretty decent for a cheap phone. And on top of that too, I don't get headaches from it.